It's another edition of the program Tango with ST with your queen of talk, Stella Eneyang. Today, I'd like to talk about the rising spate of domestic violence, being in an abusive relationship. To talk about this with me is my co-host in the person of Fatima Irole.
Hello. Hi, it's Fatima again.
It's Fatima again. So, this topic is being inspired by the rising spate of domestic violence. You know, a lot of people talk about domestic violence, thinking that it just has to do with no, not just physical, about man abusing women, a woman, or woman abusing a man, forgetting that there are men out there who are being abused. Before we go on, I'd like us to listen to what Austin Eyang has to say about domestic violence. We'll be right back after this break.
I believe that domestic violence takes many forms, physical as well as psychological, in the form of abuse and the devaluation of the worth of usually the female person in the family structure, be it a girl child or a woman, a wife or daughter or some female relative. Of course, it's not limited only to females, but it's far more prevalent when it's directed at females because of their vulnerability, their inherent vulnerability, and this violence takes the form of sexual as well as other forms of violence. It's rising, I think, because some of it is a response, if you like, to the general insecurity or the disharmony that we're experiencing in our society today, economic pressure, as well as general instability in maybe the falling standards of living that we're experiencing, the cost of living, as well as the general devaluation in our quality of life generally. And not all people can cope with these things that are battering us almost at the same time. We saw a rise, according to the statistics by relevant stakeholders, we saw a rise in domestic violence, especially during the 2020 lockdown as a result of the pandemic. You know, there's always this dichotomy, some people have pointed out, between nature and nurture. In what way does the environment in which we were brought up, the environment we find ourselves in, has to play in our behavior? A lot, in fact. The truth is that over time, our society has been patriarchal, that is emphasizing the supremacy of the male, and that has led to some people to take a wrongful notion of the supremacy or the superiority of the male person. Yes, there are many ways in which the man takes the lead, but that doesn't denote superiority, inherent superiority over the woman. And I think domestic violence taken to such extremes in order to reinforce the power of the male actually robs both the male and the female, the society, the community, of the benefits that the qualities that women come with have to bestow upon that society. A lot of us who have worked with women in different roles, we know that when you open yourself to the power that the woman has, you benefit immensely. Trying to suppress it actually is disadvantageous to all in the long run. They say that you have to stay down. To put somebody down, you have to stay down with the person. When we put the woman down in one way or the other, we stay down, all of us, not just the person that the victim, but also the aggressor.
Welcome back. It's still the program Tango with ST with your queen of talk, Stella Eneyang. And I have with me in the house, like I said at the beginning, Fatima Irole as my co-host for today. So, Fatima, when we say domestic violence or abusive relationship, what comes to your mind?
The first thing that comes to mind basically is a man beating a woman
Okay.
and parents abusing their children.
Okay.
And then you have mother-in-law abusing the wife.
Mhm.
You have the wife abusing her husband. And people don't really talk about it. I don't know why. But women do abuse their husbands.
Okay. So, before today, I went to town and I spoke with a couple of people about their thoughts on, because we hear people say you'd rather cry in a jeep than be smiling in what?
Keke.
Okay, in a tricycle.
Tricycle, yeah.
Yeah,
We call
yeah.
it keke here.
In Nigeria.
Mhm.
So, what's your take on, would you advise anybody, or would you as a person stay in an abusive relationship irrespective of status?
I will not. I will not, because if I love myself, and with the amount of love I have for myself, I wouldn't want to stay in any abusive relationship. And when I mean abusive relationship, it's not just about the person beating you physically. There are emotional abuse too, where you have a husband, anytime a woman sees her husband coming back home, you're running helter-skelter trying to see if you could put things in order. Then your kids run to their rooms and go and stay quiet. You don't have freedom of expression, you don't have freedom of speech, you can't express yourself. That's even worse than beating.
Beating on its own, it's bad.
It's bad.
Yeah, coupled with
The emotional aspect of it, it's terrible. And that's why we see many women now going into depression. They some are scared. You're in your husband's house, you're scared. You begin to hallucinate, you see things, because you've been abused beyond
what you can take.
You can take. So it's too much. That fear has gotten into you that you every time you just sit down, your heart skips.
Now, about heart skipping. I was talking with someone not too long ago, and she said she developed BP, this high blood pressure. I said, how? She said, I won't lie to you. The troubles at home. You understand? It's just the fear of, the fear of what would I do wrong? What have I done wrong this time? She's just too careful not to, because the talk, the beating and all that. And I'm like, can't you just walk away? Because initially I used to say, talk about it, talk to him. All the things. He said, I've done all of that, but I'm not happy. I said, but now you've developed this BP thing.
And the man is there living his life.
Come on.
Who is in pain?
You. Before today, coming on set, we went to town and we spoke to a couple of people about their thoughts on this topic.
Yeah.
And we asked, would you stay in an abusive relationship or not? And they had this to say. Let's watch some of those clips. We'll be right back after this break. It's still the program Tango with ST. We're going to watch some of these very short videos on the answers given when we asked, would you stay in an abusive relationship? We'll be right back. Watch this.
All right. So would I allow someone that I know to remain in an abusive relationship? No, I would not. I would not do that. I would do everything in my part to make sure that they are able to free themselves of that relationship. Most times in abusive relationships, the abuser has something that they're holding over the head of the abused, and it takes a dance to sever that relationship. But I think that with constant reminders, constant encouragement, it is very possible to let the abused know that this relationship is very toxic to them and that they need to leave?
For me, I can't stay in an abusive relationship for any reason. Not because the guy is rich or you have mansion. I cannot just deal with it because I'm a very emotional person and I can't live in a house where you snub me, you can't talk, we can't even discuss as husband and wife or as even two people who are ready to get married. I cannot stay. My advice to anybody who is in such relationship is to please leave. He might not be doing it now, he might be doing it now, and you will keep on saying he will change, he will change. My dear sister, he will not change. Whatever he starts with, that's what is ending the marriage. I cannot stay. So that's it, my advice.
The issue of domestic violence is sadly prevalent in our society. It's either the man is attacking the wife, or the other way around, which is rare. But domestic violence is what it is and should not in any way be condoned. And to be honest, I get really baffled when I hear of intending couples involved in domestic violence and yet they're still considering marriage. I mean, it's unthinkable. So I mean, if there's anyone listening to me, if you are going through this, with all urgency, get out of that relationship. If it's still a relationship, don't even think twice. Run for your life. Now, but if it's in a marital situation, if you have looked for possible counsel and nothing is working, run for your life before you die. I'm a Christian, and so I have serious reservations about divorce, but you need to save yourself first. Get out. If it means separating, go somewhere else and let the tempers cool down before thinking of coming back.
It's very, very bad for you to stay in a man that abuses you. It can cost your life, and anything that will cost your life, you have to quit. So I can't advise my own child or friend, anyone at all, to stay in an abusive relationship because it's dead. I won't do this. Neither I myself will stay. I can't. So I rather marry my friend who understands me. If I cannot marry a man that is my friend, I can play, joke with, I cannot marry and I cannot stay. And I won't advise anybody at all to stay in an abusive relationship because it's dead.
How would I want to be in an abusive relationship with anyone? For what cause? And I don't see domestic violence only when you physically abuse someone with your hand, or when you verbally do same too. Because everyone's got emotions, everyone's got a will, everyone's got a personality. So why would you, for no reason, want to ride on me for just no cause? It's not something I would advise anyone to be into, be it relationship, marriage, or friendship, or whatever you call it. I know of someone that was married to a certain man. I don't really know the person per se, but from common friends, and that was 7 in Lagos at some point. Amodofi, here, local government. She was killed by her husband just from mere arguments, and the guy beat her up, and I'm sure that wasn't her first time that she was beaten up that way. Probably even in the relationship, the guy would probably had beaten her up or slapped her or something, and she just took it in like, oh, he's the head of the family, I'm supposed to respect him. No, you don't stay in such kind of relationships. At the end, she died. So if you know you're in one, run away from it. And you need your life and you need your sanity. Just run away from it.
Once a relationship is becoming toxic, it's better to walk away alive. Let's do all we can to say no to domestic violence.
It's good to have you back. Still the program Tango with ST with your queen of talk, Stella Eneyang, and my co-host is still Fatima Irole.
Yeah, welcome back.
Fatima, you saw those videos.
Yeah, I did.
And from what we watched, you saw that every one of them, you know, said, walk away, walk away. So why do we still have people who die in these relationships?
It's African, what do I call it? African belief, culture, tradition that it's better you stay in a marriage for better, for worse.
Mhm.
You remain in it, and then you even have a parent, your parents telling you, stay there. The beating will not kill you.
And, you know, sadly,
Sadly,
it's
at the
killing
end
a
of
lot
the day,
of them
it's
now.
killing a lot of them. Sometimes you even go to psychiatric hospitals, some of them are there.
Hmm.
You understand? So I don't feel, if you are in an abusive marriage, like those who said they will walk away, my dear sister, walk away. It's better for you to eat a bitter meal than for you to be eating a fattened calf in a mansion where you're not happy.
A bitter meal in a mansion,
Yes,
or
a bitter meal in a hut
okay.
than the fried rice and everything in a Chinese meal in a mansion. You understand? Because if
No, I need to get
yes,
that. I need to clarify that.
whatever, if you're happy, you soak gari and you drink, you're contented. You're looking robust. People
Because
are
you're
asking
happy.
you because you're happy from the inside.
Okay.
But if you live in a mansion, you're eating all the great food, and when people see you, your laughter is placid, it's just on your face.
And they see
It's not
beyond
from
that.
the inside, and they see beyond that you're not really happy. What are you doing? And you lie. It makes you to begin to lie about who you are.
Do you know that even as much as there's this awareness of people saying, instead of getting killed in an abusive relationship, walk away, sadly, we're going to still hear stories about people getting killed. I'll tell you this for a fact, because I was speaking with some people who refused to come on the video interviews, and a couple of them said, I think I remember 2 ladies said, with the situation, the economic situation right now, she would rather stay and manage. You understand?
In an abusive
See,
home that has money.
money, you understand? And the other one said, I would never stay. I would walk away, because when there is life, there is hope.
Oh,
You remember one of the people we interviewed said, in one of those videos said, she would not stay in a relationship where she cannot play with the person, with her partner, she cannot joke and have fun. He said because she would rather marry a friend who would give her peace than marry someone all because of money, and she would never allow any of her children or even herself be in an abusive relationship because it is dead according to her, you know. So but
She
when
has a point.
she has a very valid
Very
point.
valid
But when I now listen to people like 2 of those other ladies that refuse to be interviewed, that would rather be in such relationships as long as there's money too. And I'm like, how would you enjoy it if you die? Like the other lady shouted there, you know. And I told her, come on and let's record this. She said no, she wouldn't want to come because she knows that it's really not the best. But poverty is one of the reasons why people stay in abusive relationships.
And another reason is, what will people say? What people would say, she ran out of her marriage, blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing, they tag you a prostitute. They begin to call you names. But it's okay for a man to throw his wife out and go on live his life. Nobody will say
The patriarchy
anything.
thing.
Nobody will, yeah. But for you, as a woman, you run from an abusive marriage because you know. There's a story of a woman who ran away from an abusive. She left her kids.
Wow.
She left the abusive marriage. She left her kids for 3 years, and then she came back. She came back wealthy. Nobody could call her a prostitute. The children, even before she came, the children had stopped school. The husband lost his job and the children had stopped school. Someone even called her and said, your children are suffering, they are on the street. She said, let them suffer. When I come back, they will not remember they suffered.
But the thing is, what if something else happened to all the kids while she was away?
Because the man refused to give her the custody of the children, and she will not say because of the children, stay back and die.
I think that's a topic for another day when we talk about when you have to leave, when you decide to leave.
Do you live with your children or leave them behind?
That's another topic for another day. Today, let's just deal with this. Would you rather stay in an abusive relationship or get out of it? I was speaking with Mr. Austin A. Young, you know, that we talked about at the beginning when we said, let's hear what he... While he was speaking, he said something about confrontation, consultation, and one other thing. Let's listen and get to hear what he has to say before you leave, you know. Let's have Austin A. Young tell us what his thoughts are about leaving or staying back in that relationship. It's still the program Tango with ST. We'll be right back after watching this.
All right. From my background in activism and advocacy, I would say that the best approach would be the three-step approach. We call it the 3 C's. The first step is consultation. The second is consolidation. And the third is confrontation. The first approach, consultation, will entail that the victim of abuse or violence will open up to the perpetrator and say, look, this is how this is making me feel. This is the effect it is having on me, on my physical well-being, on my emotional well-being. With the hope that maybe it will stop there, it will end there, the perpetrator will mend their ways. However, if that doesn't succeed, we as a society, as families, we have authority figures, people who have the moral authority to, influence behavior. So you could take it up with this person and be it a family or community head, the pastor, if you're a Christian, an imam, or some authority figure that this person is likely to listen to and see whether that helps. However, if again that does not help, that's the consolidation part. The confrontation part would be to seek redress, legal redress. Try to see if there can be a deterrent. In some countries, say like the US, we have what we call the restraining order, where the perpetrator is not allowed to come within a particular radius of the victim. It could be even a process that might even lead to the end of that relationship, be divorce or some kind of separation from the source of that, of the pain that the victim is facing. Of course, we are told that as Christians that God hates divorce, but then that is the abuse is also a ground for divorce in a marital relationship. God forbid that it should come to that, but that would be the last resort, and that's the confrontation part.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you, Austin, for your thoughts. It's still the program Tango with ST with your Queen of Talk, Stella N.A. Young. From what Mr. Austin A. Young just said, he said you need to talk before you decide to throw in the towel. From what he said before you decide to call it quits, with the relationship, talk about it and get a higher person involved who can talk to that partner. You understand?
Would you drag the person to that higher person?
Wow.
Are you going to drag them? There are some of these people that abuse their partners that are very, very stubborn. They don't even want, the moment you even tell them that a third party is aware of what is going on in their home, you're in for it again.
Wow.
So how do you do that?
It's a big problem, isn't it?
Especially in this part, in this our own part of the world. How? It can happen over there. But here, that consultation, I don't think it will.
But there are some people who have people that they listen to.
Yes, some. but some, it's a 50-50 thing.
Okay.
So if you find yourself in one of those 50, among those 50s, that their partner does not want to go for consultation, what do? You know it now. These people, they just don't want, if you even mention it to anybody,
You're in trouble.
you're in trouble. They drag you out and make you pretend you're happy. And if you dare to show out there that they have their eyes on you, you dare to show out there that you're not happy, as in you give the slightest inkling to anyone that there is something going on in your mind, when you come back home, you're in.
So the one question that still baffles me is, what are the leading causes of this domestic violence?
I think I would say is either when, I don't know, the way the relationship started, from the bedrock. How did it start? Do you really know this person you're getting married to? Has he shown sign? Because I remember when I wanted to get married to my husband, my godfather asked me, he said, have you had any misunderstanding with this guy?
Wow. Nice.
And I was like, what a question. I said, we've had misunderstanding. He said, no, I mean a heated misunderstanding. Have you had that kind of misunderstanding? Only at that point would you know if he is someone that, because I know you talk too much. If he's somebody that can tolerate you. And really and truly, he had a point. Then, but I thought, and the misunderstanding came when we were now preparing for the marriage.
Wow.
And that was when I knew, okay, so this is actually who I'm getting married to. But to God be the glory, he is someone that when you call him back, that what you're doing is wrong. Just me and him, you take it. It takes correction.
I guess you are just one
Lucky
of the
person.
lucky ones. You understand?
Yeah.
Because like one of the interviewees said, don't even make that mistake of thinking he has this habit or she has this habit. Let me just see. I would change him or I would change her.
Don't even.
Okay.
Don't even. You can't. It's like when a crayfish is already dried. You know, our grandparents used to make that program. When you try to straighten it, it did not break.
It will break. Becomes
So
deformed.
it only takes the grace of God. And if that person himself wants to change,
Or herself.
yes, or herself wants to change, then you now begin to work on that person. But what if the person is like, okay, fine, I'm in this. This is me. You can't change me. You know, some people can be that stubborn.
But the truth is, one thing you need to take away from here is that you cannot change one person, a person who is not willing to change. You can't even change anybody. So don't always feel like when we get married or as we move along, I'm going to change him or I'm going to change her. You cannot change anybody. Like they say, you cannot save one who is not willing to be saved. That's it. That's it. So in all of this, the truth is, stay away from an abusive relationship.
Regardless of what people say.
See, another time we're going to talk about why people stay in an abusive relationship. Because someone said it's about the money, or it's about when it comes
children,
yeah, or is it about
the family background?
And someone also mentioned
like
in a relationship, in a man and a woman relationship, maybe it's about the sex. You know, because I think that's going to be an interesting one, because I'll say this story. When I was in school, I used to have this friend who was in an abusive relationship. She would come and she would come and you see her with a scar or something, a swollen part and all that. You just say, he has beaten you again. You say, no, he's not really like that. It's because you give excuses.
They make excuses
for them. This kind of people who keep going on with this relationship and they eventually settle down, and if care is not taken, dies in the process. And you're beginning to ask yourself, I used to know them when they were much younger. I thought the guy had changed. Man, you can't change anybody.
can't change his ways.
You can't. Interestingly, she left him and she's happily married today
To someone,
to someone who takes care of her. So, on another edition, we're going to talk about why people remain in an abusive relationship, irrespective of the abuses they receive. So, this episode is about, would you stay in an abusive relationship or not? And from all what we've heard, all what we've gathered, they say walk away. If it cannot be resolved, walk away. All right, it's still the program Tango with ST. Your queen of talk has been on it. Are you just joining? I know you had a good time watching. For those of you who have been here from the beginning, if you're just joining, you can go back and watch again and get the little things that we learned from this, one of which is walk away from any abusive relationship. Domestic violence of any kind is a no-no for a normal human being. From me to you is take care of yourself and be safe. Walk away if it's not helping your health, if it's not helping your state of mind, if it's not helping you physically, if it's not helping you emotionally. Walk away. I'm not a supporter of breakups, but if one has to die in it, it's a no-no. My name is still Stella N.A.N., your queen of talk, and this is Tango with ST. For me, it's bye. And from Fatima Irole,
it's bye, like, share, and subscribe. We'll be with you next time.
all right. Like she said, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to like, share, and leave your comments. Bye for now.